We all have times when we are getting emotionally triggered, right? And I feel really strongly in my heart that this is something that really, really needs to be shifted in society as a whole, which is a massive task. And with this video, I want to do my part for that. So when you're feeling emotionally triggered, it's usually feeling hurt, in pain, or you might feel scared or like maybe overpowered, like made small, or you feel like someone made you wrong, or criticize you. Or you might even feel annoyed and angry with somebody, which is also some pain underneath that anger. There usually is something underneath that anger. So in this video, I want to show you what's going on and how you can actually do a small little shift that helps you to come back to your true self, rather than living from the egoic mind that is in fact the part that feels triggered. Hey, I am Carolina Cummins, and I am all about living life from love. This is the channel. If you want to live your life from love, this is the channel to be on. And I give you lots of examples, or in different scenarios, how you can actually take back your power when you are feeling not in love or in peace or in joy. Because these are the two options we have. Living in duality, right? We have two options. The first one is we can live in our mind, our egoic mind, that is connected with our body and our emotions and our thoughts, and it believes that's the persona that I am. I am that ego persona with all the personalities and with the pains and the hurts and the fears and the likes and the dislikes. That's just how I am, and I can't do anything about it. So that's where you could come from. And then you also have the other realm you can live from, when you're dropping right into your body and you're actually living a lot more from your heart, and you're living a heart-centered life where you're hearing the mind and you're aware of it, and you know that it is always telling you stuff from the past, because that's all it knows. It just lives on memory from the past. And it lives, or it can also go into the future, and then it invents a future, it makes something up that it thinks will happen, but it only thinks that, so we don't, it's just a thought construct. So I want to really highlight this option that you can, when you're living from that mental construction, when you're living from the story that your mind is telling you, and all the assumptions, and the judgments and the dislikes and the and maybe even some hate, and it's a lot of battling with life that's going on in these mental stories. It's very tense, it's stressful, it's painful. There will be anger or guilt or shame, and it's not pleasant. That's kind of, I call that the realm of the mind, the egoic mind, that has kind of almost its own persona, the ego mind. And then you also have the connection to your heart and your soul, which is also always present. And my aim is to guide you, to invite you, to inspire you to come back to your heart, and to move that, and to do that, you have to move out of your mind more and more and more. And I've got loads of videos on many examples on how you can do that and what is involved. And today we just want to highlight on when you get, when you get emotionally triggered, like you feel angry or annoyed, or you feel hurt, or you feel maybe kind of pushed in the corner a bit by people, or scared of them, scared of their judgment. So one example is somebody just mentioned that, say, for instance, if people around you are kind of implying that you might be lying, they're sort of accusing you of not telling the truth. And that, I know, is really ugly, isn't it? It's really horrible feeling. And you want to justify yourself, and you want to, put that person right and tell them, no, I didn't lie, and so on and so on, yeah? So let's just think that's one scenario. And then another scenario, I had with my mom, where I always felt she was telling me I'm wrong. And she would always sort of, every time we would do something together, whether it's just cooking or gardening or whatever, she would always tell me how I should do it, which is basically the way she wanted it, the way she would do it, right? And I would always feel wrong and really hurtful. You know, I felt very hurt, and I just wanted to run away and don't do anything with her. And another example is a client of mine. She had recently a friend constantly always wanting to know what is she's doing, and telling her what to do, and questioning her, and making things up about her, and it didn't feel good to her whatsoever, and she's even thinking about leaving the friendship. And it really was down to feeling pushed into a corner, thinking, and my client then was thinking that the others think that she's not capable. So she felt like, maybe like a bit like a failure. And so all these scenarios will trigger, you know, will sort of press the button and set off the trigger. So another person is just saying one little thing or doing one little thing, but it's often about saying something, and then boom, the trigger goes off. Yeah, I'm sure you all know that. And now it's so important to immediately remember that when you are emotionally triggered, you could not possibly be coming from the realm of love, because the realm of love would be calm and relaxed, content, peaceful. The emotional realm is in motion, is in turmoil, is, you know, there's something happening and it's uncomfortable, and the reaction is kind of wanting to run away, you know, usually, or, you know, fight with that thing, that scenario, with the person that triggered you. And when we fight with life, it only persists, you know, the situation will persist. If we're telling stories about the other person, what they're doing and what they shouldn't be doing, and they, you know, should never do this, and that's not nice, that's not friendly, it's not loving. Basically, we are telling a story and it does nothing, because we're just kind of commenting. The mind is commenting on what's happening and what we don't want to happen. And telling the other person off, or demanding something of them, or making them wrong and criticizing them also doesn't do anything whatsoever. You probably have found that. We cannot change another person, and certainly not by telling them off or making them wrong. So it is up to us. We have to deal with our own emotional trigger, right? There's no other way around that. And it's actually a giveaway. If we get triggered, we feel it inside, so it can only be coming from us. It seems like the other person has triggered us, but nobody can actually do that. Nobody has got the power, right? So come back to yourself, you know, really come back to yourself. And there's a very simple shift that you can achieve if you are able to look at the whole scenario from the eyes, say, of your soul, for instance, or from the eyes of your higher self. So the very first thing that really got me is like the smallest little thing, the smallest little shift that got me out of being identified with I am doing everything wrong, or I am wrong, because that's the trigger I had with my mom. Yeah, I was actually looking at her, what she was doing, instead of looking at it from my perceived pain. And I was looking at her with neutral eyes. So I shifted my point of view, and I could see that that's the way she's doing things. She's only just telling me the way she wants to do it. She's just coming from her ego self, and she wants to do it her way, basically. And she wants me to do it her way. This is sort of so typical in relationships. And here the invitation is to allow the other person to be as they are and accept something different, you know. And when I could see that, you know, I could also see her upbringing and the way she was conditioned and the way she was brought up by her parents, all that played a role here. I could just drop all my my judgment towards her or my dislike about the way she was, and just let her be as she was. And by doing that, I kind of took all my energy and my power that I'd given her, I took it back in here. I took it back inside. And it's almost like I let her go. I let her be as she was. And just that small little shift changed everything. I was no longer prone to get triggered when she did what she did before, like telling me I'm wrong or I'm doing things wrong. So this is a very profound, smallest little shift that we can all do by just looking at the other person with different eyes. If we are fighting the other person, we are not in love. If you want to live your life from love, look at them with neutral eyes. Look at them as they are. Look at them, from a reality point of view. This is how they are. And that does not mean that I am wrong or bad or I'm a liar or I am incapable. Because that's what we do, when we get triggered, we make something that someone says, we make it mean something. And it is really a trigger in us. The trigger in us is an old unresolved belief that we've had since childhood. And that's the only reason why we get triggered. It's already in us. But I just wanted to today, I want to really invite you to make this small little shift. If you're ready on your journey now, not everybody's ready to do this. But if you want to rather come from love and from peace when you're relating to your loved ones, then this small little shift is something that can really make your relationship a lot easier and more peaceful. Because then you will stop battling with them. And when you stop battling, you can accept, you can embrace them, you can just let them be as they are. And that's the beginning of a new peaceful relationship. And then the next step I always recommend is to go deep inside, to really feel your trigger, feel your pain, feel your anger, and ask yourself, where does that come from? When did I feel like this before? And then kind of really put your awareness onto that pain. Let it be there. Just observe it. Just let it be, because that pain needs to be validated. It needs to be acknowledged and it needs to be seen. And that already is helping it a lot. So I hope this helped you. And maybe I will just quickly tell you, except with the other scenarios, my client feeling kind of pushed in the corner by her friend, always wanting to know what she's doing. And she made it mean that she's incapable, that this friend needs to look over her because she can't look after herself. And when I was working with her, we actually did uncover that belief, I'm incapable, which came from her being very small, like 3 or 4. And she wanted to protect her mom from the abusive stepdad. And that's why she believed she was incapable. So there was quite a big trauma behind that. And, she hadn't really dealt with it, but it was still there. It was still creating these outside scenarios where people would behave in certain ways. And then she would feel, overpowered a bit. Yes, and then eventually, first there was always anger. There's anger because she didn't like the way the friends were sort of implying that she was incapable. And then she found out that she actually did believe that she was incapable, although of course that isn't true. And she could see and heal her inner child, because the inner child could see, no, it wasn't my role to protect my mom. I couldn't do that. It wasn't my role. And then a huge burden was gone, And if you feel like someone is implying that you are a liar or that you're not sticking to the truth, and you feel being treated with injustice, unfair, and you want to basically defend yourself. Again, that's not the solution, because you don't have to defend yourself, because you know whether you spoke the truth or not. And if the other person doesn't want to believe you, then, well, you can't do anything about that. It's important that you know what's right and true for you. And there's no need to defend yourself and no need to justify yourself. But it could also point to an unresolved scene that you had as a child, where you might have felt unfairly treated, and your inner child is still holding on to that, and it needs looking at. And that's maybe why the certain scenario with your family member has come up. So everything that happens for us and that we have an emotional reaction to, or even get triggered, there is usually something that we need to look at deeper. We need to go deep inside and meet that pain, meet that fear or that anger. That's what it's all about. That's why life is bringing us these scenarios. Because life, or your soul, our soul, wants us to resolve these old issues so that we can be our true self, that we can shine our light, and that we can live from love and peace and joy. If you've got any questions, please do ask me in the comments. And if you would like to receive my complimentary free heart alignment meditation, which is actually helping you with what I've just described, it's helping you to come back into your heart. It's helping you to instantly relax and come back to peace while you are in your heart. And it's very, very empowering. I had so many amazing compliments for this meditation, and I will leave you a link so you can sign up for that under the video. And so, I'd really love you to enjoy that, so you can help yourself to feel the difference when you are in your heart, how peaceful it is, and then, reminding yourself what it's like when you're in your mind and there's all these stories and the triggers going on. So by regularly coming back to your heart, you will work with your mind, and you will basically show your mind, look, this is my true self. This is who I really am. Because I'm never my thoughts, and I'm not my emotions. I am the peace, the love, and the joy that's living in my heart, the essence of my being. Okay, so I'll leave you for now. And yes, I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to hear more about living life from love, please subscribe and like the video, and please ask me any questions, or maybe if you want to share something, you can also email me. I will leave my email address there as well, and I always love to hear from you. Okay, bye for now, until next time.